All right, so the topic this evening is going to be conservation. You might be asking, why conservation? Okay, I will tell you why. Okay, so conservation, it has a really, really close place to my heart. Okay, I love conservation. This actually, orangutan is a photo I took when I was in an orangutan conservation program in Kalimantan. So yeah, and also I feel that conservation, it really has a lot to do with climate change and global warming actually, which are very relevant topics right now. Okay, so without further ado, I will get started. So conservation, before I go to the next slide, and I know there are quite a lot of participants here, would anybody like to guess or tell me or explain to me a little about like what is conservation, what you think conservation is? Anyone? Like, to practice your English? Anyone? Would anyone like to guess or just explain a little to me about what conservation actually is? Does anybody have any idea? If not, I will just get onto it. Anyone? No? Okay, that's okay. No worries. Okay, so conservation. Okay, so what is conservation? Basically, it is this, which is a definition I got from Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a careful preservation of protection of something, especially planned management of a natural resource to prevent exploitation, destruction, or neglect. Okay, so it's pretty much in simple terms to protect something. Okay, to protect something that, okay, Sunil Mahendra said another term of self-healing. Okay, yeah. I guess it could be another term for self-healing, like for animals, the environment. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Okay, so conservation. So why is it so important? Okay, let's look at humankind. Humankind, we used to live in balance with nature. Okay, we used to live in balance. Our nature used to be what determined our survival. Okay, nature was what determined our survival on this planet. Okay, but we learned how to exploit our environment. Okay, we slowly, with every problem that occurred, we learned how to destroy Earth. We learned how to alter its surface. Okay, in the process, we destroyed many things. So pretty much the destruction on Earth now has been caused by humans. Nothing else. There's nothing else to blame really but ourselves. And Earth now has entered a new phase. A new phase where nature does no longer determine our survival, but we determine nature's survival. Okay, we determine nature's survival. Okay, interesting that. Think about that, guys. We determine nature's survival. Okay, so now we are totally out of balance. Okay, there's no balance. Uh, Animals are going extinct. People, for example, fishermen, they don't have, or they can't catch as many fish as they used to be able to. Our forests are disappearing. So one of the efforts to help protect our earth is via conservation. Okay, as you can see, our earth is less wild than it used to be. We see buildings everywhere, humans everywhere, cattle everywhere, domestic pets everywhere. But our wildlife is just disappearing before our eyes. Okay. A very interesting fact before I go on is in the last 50 years, this is really interesting. Okay. In the last 50 years, which is not a long time, guys, but in the last 50 years, of the population of wild animals on our earth has decreased or has reduced by 60%. That's a huge amount. And think about it. How many animals have gone extinct during that time? And what has replaced all of these animals? Us. We have replaced it. Okay, the wonderful human being. Okay, so the loss of biodiversity without the world. Okay, so without biodiversity, our world would be nothing when you think about it. Okay, so that is why I feel that conservation is so important. It's so important. Okay, next slide then. All right. Okay, so what kinds of conservation are there? What kinds of conservation are there? The first one is environmental conservation. Environmental conservation includes looking after our forests, okay? Forest conservation, soil conservation, which is looking after our soil, and waste management. Okay, I will explain these first a little. Okay, so forest conservation is where we conserve our forests. We look after our forests. Do you realize how much carbon dioxide forests absorb to help reduce climate change? And also the amount of habitats they produce for different animals? Also, soil conservation. Soil contains so many important nutrients and things that we need, plants need. But if we keep, for example, like farming, and we keep replacing our trees with, like, I guess, palm oil, that kind of thing, the nutrients in the soil will disappear. Another one is waste management. Don't throw away things that, you can still use. Waste management. It destroys animals' habitat. It destroys our earth. It destroys our home. And the next one is animal conservation. You've probably all heard of animal conservation. It's one of the more famous types of conservation. Okay, so it includes the preservation, protection, and management of animals to the benefit of the environment. Okay, so for example, like what I was included in not that long ago, actually, quite a long time ago, actually. I'm getting old. So I was in a orangutan conservation program. Okay, I worked there. Okay, and it was an amazing experience. The way we looked after them, and then the way that you realize that these animals, they have feelings too. They're not just, something that we can just go and kill and get rid of, and that's it. Okay, animals play a huge role on our earth. Do you know how many trees and other species have gone extinct because of animals going extinct? Animals play a huge role. For example, in seed dispersal. Okay, seed dispersal, like the disperse of seeds. They eat the seeds and then they poo everywhere. Sorry, they poo everywhere, which helps to spread the seeds. And some species of trees, they only rely on this. Okay, they rely on this for their main source of seed dispersal. And then some trees have gone extinct because the animals that used to eat their seeds, they're no longer here. And then the third one is marine conservation. Marine conservation. It includes looking after our coral reefs. Okay, coral reefs. It includes looking after our species, like all the animal species in the ocean. Look at I reckon if you went up to a fisherman, even in Indonesia, they would tell you how much the amount of fish has decreased in the last few years. Okay, it has decreased at an amazing rate. So yeah, the protection of marine species and ecosystems in oceans and seas worldwide. That is what marine conservation is. And then we have human conservation. Huh? Humans have to be conserved? No, humans do not have to be conserved. Relationship between people and the environment has to be conserved. What this means is finding a balance, okay, a balance between what we use for the environment, how we exploit the environment, so that we can live in peace, not what's happening now, where we can see that temperatures are rising, then glaciers are melting, and carbon dioxide is increasing in our air. This has a huge impact. Okay, so if we implement conservation well, if people care more about our environment, hopefully we will be able to reduce or at least slowen the rate that climate change is taking right now. It's really fast at the moment. So it is hoped by conducting conservation, we can help reduce that. We can at least slowen the rate at it that it's at. We may not be able to stop it, but we can slower the rate. We can slowen the rate, sorry. Okay. So that's why I know that a lot of people would be like, so what? Who cares about conservation? It doesn't affect me. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Does it really not affect you guys? Okay. Does it really? Like lately, have you seen how the weather has crazy? Okay. It's crazy at the moment. It's hot. It's much hotter than it used to be. It's raining like crazy. And we can't determine when our seasons will start and begin, which is really bad for farmers, which is why we have to conserve our environment. Look at those poor farmers. They don't know when to plant chili. They don't know when to plant rice. They don't know when to plant corn because of all of this. That's why we need to conserve everything around us. Okay, so if it doesn't affect you directly, think about the other people who it does affect. Think about our world in the future, maybe for our kids or their kids even. What will happen? My question to you guys is, what will happen if we don't do something about this? And this is like a really, really important problem that we have to face together. Okay, again, why? Why? Apart from what I said about conservation, protect wildlife and promote biodiversity. We need to protect our wildlife. Okay, some people, for example, like, okay, I will give you an example because I know a little bit. I don't know everything. So if anything I say here is incorrect, please correct me at the end of my presentation or during, no problem. Okay, protect wildlife and promote biodiversity. Okay, so one of them is, okay, orangutans. I know them really well. They help to disperse seeds from trees, which to me is amazing. And without them, if they did go extinct, some trees would go extinct too, which would make a really bad chain reaction. Okay, meaning that other animals that depend on those trees would also die. So that's how how big the effect is if we don't do anything. And then protect our earth, of course, to protect where we live. Okay, someone once said that if we don't protect our earth, then we can't protect ourselves. Okay, if we can't protect our earth, if we don't protect our earth, we can't protect ourselves. Do you agree with that? Okay, and the third one is for human health. For human health, what do you mean? Okay, what I mean is that there are some plants that we use a lot of for medicines, right? If we do not conserve these plants, if we do not look after our environment, these plants will also disappear, meaning we will have no medicines to help us get better. You see how everything's connected? It's actually amazing. Okay, so why does Indonesia need conservation? Why particularly Indonesia? Okay, I'm going to look at Indonesia because that's where we are right now. It's a biological hotspot. It is the hotspot of biodiversity. Okay. Did you know that 10%, guys, of all of the flowering plants in the world, okay, in the world, our world is huge, including some 400 species of Dipterocarp's trees, the country's most valuable commercial timber species, comes from Indonesia, 10%. And then 12% of the world's mammals live in Indonesia. 12%, guys, that is a huge number, 12%. And then 16% of its reptiles and amphibians, okay, also live in Indonesia. 16% of the world's reptiles and amphibians live in Indonesia. 17% of birds, okay, in the world. And then 25% of all known marine and freshwater fish species. Whoa, that is a quarter of the world's marine and fish species. That is, wow. Okay, when you think about it, that is why Indonesia is like, it's like a diamond. Honestly, it's like a diamond that we have to look after. Okay, I got this from Dr. Catherine A. Monk. Okay, it's in her research. So yeah, that's where I got, this is where I got the source. Okay, why should we care? Why should we really care, guys? You know, like I said, it's not affecting us. Like, who cares, right? It is. It is affecting us, whether you want to admit it or not. It's affecting us in a huge way. Okay. By looking after our environment and its flora and fauna, we are also looking after ourselves. Okay, guys? So I want you to think about that if we don't start doing something, our world will disappear. It will destroy itself. We will destroy it, sorry, and it will destroy before our eyes. Okay, so this is why it's such an important topic and relevant to what's going on now. Okay. Okay, so what can we do actually? There are many things we can do. Okay, I'm not going to talk like for too long. You probably get bored listening to me, but hey, okay, so what can we do? Okay, the first thing that we can do is
Tapi di
adopt
sini
an
kalau
animal.
makan nggak ada minum ya?
Have you ever heard?
Gitu.
Okay, have you ever heard of animal adoption? Okay, if you have, what it is adopting an animal, not taking it home. No, what it is there are many conservation groups. Okay, there are many conservation groups, and what you can do is you can apply to adopt, for example, a tiger, an elephant, or an orangutan that is in rehabilitation. Okay, and you can pay to help that animal, like for its food, for other things it needs. That's what adopt an animal is. Okay, so it helps a lot. Okay, but I know that it is expensive and a lot of people do not have that money. You can donate money, obviously, you can do that. You can also become a volunteer. Okay, you can also become a volunteer. Like I did, okay? I was a volunteer in Sumatra. I was a volunteer in their conservation program for 3 months. It was amazing. Okay, I followed orangutans that had a microchip in their necks. I used a transmitter to try and find them and to make sure they were okay. I wrote down sorry, I wrote down, I have this bad habit of saying writ, sorry, I wrote down their conditions, and I gave food to the animals in rehabilitation. I also cleaned their cages. It's a very humbling experience. So if anybody ever has the chance to do it, I would really advise you try, because it's amazing. It is amazing. It's humbling. Okay, it's really humbling. It makes us realize that we are so small, one, and that we need these animals. We need our environment. We need the forest. We need biodiversity. Okay. Okay. The next one is shop responsibly. Okay, so what does shop responsibly mean? Make sure that the things you buy, okay, are not from endangered species, for example, like endangered species like of animals and plants, maybe. Okay. Make sure that they're from a trusted source. Okay. And yeah, I think those are the things that you can do to help. Those are small things, where you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to donate any money. Okay. And another one is watch your waste. Okay, guys, watch your waste. Okay, your rubbish. Okay, don't throw things in the river. Okay, this is one I beg you guys to be more aware of what you do with your waste. Recycle if possible. It will help a lot to look after our animals' environments. It will help a huge lot. When we go shopping, like reduce plastic. When we go out to restaurants, bring a straw. Okay, bring a straw with you, a metal or steel straw. Many things we can do. And then restore habitats. How do we do that? Plant a tree at home, guys. Even just plant a tree at home. Or if there's any if you have any you have any clear land or bare land, you could plant trees. It could be a mini habitat. Okay, habitats don't have to be big, they can be mini. If you have the bare piece of land and you planted it with trees, it could be homes for birds, right? You could create homes for birds, insects, many things. And then drive less. I know that in Indonesia, we have the habit of driving everywhere, even to the closest shop down the road from us where we can walk. I know that it's a bad habit, but walk, guys. It's healthy for you. Walk. Why do you need to go on your motorbike to the shop that is only, for example, 2 houses down the road? Okay. Like for me, I've had a funny experience. I know it's the culture here, but I went to the mosque, okay, which is like, I guess it's like 100 meters from my house. And I walked. To me, walking is just normal. And somebody said to me, "What, you didn't bring your motorbike? It's so far." And I'm like, "Far? It's like only 100 meters." When I was in the forest, I walked for 20 kilometers in a day. Okay, guys, 20 kilometers in a day. And this is only 100 meters. Okay, so think about that. Okay, walk more. Walk more. It's like, it's something simple. It's good for your body. And it means less greenhouse emission, less greenhouse gases, actually. And then change your diet. Okay, change your diet. What do I mean? Okay, I'm not asking you to go vegan because I am not vegan. Okay, I'm not vegan. I'm not asking you to do that. But you can try, like, if you have maybe some spare land, you can plant your own vegetables. Okay, you can plant your own herbs. This helps. Why? Because in the fields where they plant vegetables and that kind of thing, they use tractors. Tractors means more greenhouse gases. It also means the destruction of soils. Okay. Also, the use of pesticides. If we plant them ourselves, we don't have to use pesticides. We don't have to use a tractor. We can reduce a lot of things that can harm the environment and avoid water waste. Okay, avoid water waste. Okay, for example, like the littlest example, when we're brushing our teeth, guys, don't leave the water running. Don't leave it running. Okay. Turn it off, brush our teeth, and then when we're done, then we can brush our toothbrush. Sorry, wash our toothbrush. Okay. Simplest things. For example, if there is a tap that is leaking, fix it quickly. Okay. So we don't have water waste and other things. Okay, so before I get onto the question and answer part, I just want to explain to you about some of the experience I had when I was actually collecting data for my research about orangutans in Kalimantan. Very interesting. What it made me realize was that our awareness of the importance of our environment is still so low. It's sad. Okay, it is sad. Westerners and people from other countries, they seem to care more. Okay, this is a lot of factors. I am not blaming anyone for this. Okay, I'm not blaming anyone, but there are many factors. So when I was in Kalimantan, I was collecting my data, okay, or my data, and then I remember some of the tourists, the international tourists, would come to me and ask, "So what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I am doing research on orangutans, actually. I'm doing a research on their behavior. So I hope this will help to conserve them and contribute in helping to increase their numbers." And they said, "Wow, that's amazing. We support you. Keep doing it. It's wonderful, blah, blah, blah." But then I met some domestic tourists. Okay, I'm not putting down Indonesia at all because not everybody is like this. I'm just giving you a little bit of insight of what happened to me, and what Indonesia is doing at the moment is so much better than it was. So I really do applaud Indonesia. All the conservation programs that they have are amazing. Okay, amazing. Okay, but this is what happened to me. And so I was collecting data, and some of the domestic tourists asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, exactly the same thing. I'm collecting data for orangutans to help to help preserve them, to help conserve them, blah blah blah." And their reaction was like, "Oh, okay." See, just different. Like, I just want us to realize, not everybody doesn't realize, I know that. I just want us to realize that how important our environment is before it's too late, guys, before it's too late. And okay, a question I have before I finish to all of you. Maybe somebody will be able to answer this, okay? I hope somebody will be able to. Okay, why is it so hard to implement conservation in Indonesia? Why do you think? Why? Why do you think it's so hard? That's my first question. And the next question is, does our nature need us? Think about that. Does our earth do our animals need us? What would happen if we all disappeared, humans disappeared? Would they survive without us? Okay, so those are the two questions I'm giving you guys before we finish. Why is it hard to implement conservation in Indonesia? And does our earth need us? Okay, those are the two questions I have for you guys. Okay, so that's it for my explanation about conservation. So I'm opening a questions and answers section. Please, I will hand it over to the sorry, I will hand it over to the host for this evening. So yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Rebecca, by the way. Uh, and thank you guys for coming here tonight. And hopefully we learn more and a lot from tonight's section. And see you again on the next YouTalk session.
No, it's
Bye
not
bye.
yet.
Not
Pedro,
yet,
it's
not
still
yet.
we still
Ah,
have
sorry.
asking question, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
asking questions.
ask, asking question.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry,
Okay, guys.
sorry. I may
Sorry,
made you
sorry.
confused. Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry. I just handed it over to the host like to open the questions section. So sorry about that. Okay, does anyone have any questions? I saw that in the chat section. Sunil Mahendra, you have a question? Please go ahead. What is your question? Okay, the question is how to be like you in experience such as animals and volunteer. This is a very interesting question. Okay. Well, for me, it was actually quite easy because I actually studied in the Faculty of Forestry. Okay, my major was conservation. Okay, and I applied, but because I my background was conservation, my background was forestry, was quite easy for me. But they non-government organizations, they do often open programs, volunteer programs, okay, that you can apply for. Okay, you can apply for. There is one called COP, actually. COP, it has to do with orangutans, and they will accept anyone. You do not have to have a, for example, like me, like a conservation background or a forestry background or even a biology background, whatever. No, you don't need to have experience or that kind of background. So you can volunteer there. Okay, so it's volunteering, so you don't get paid. And I would suggest looking for other volunteer programs. I think they have them on the internet. I'm not quite sure, but one of them is COP. Maybe you can try something else as well. So yeah, that is my advice to you, Sunil Mahendra. I hope that answers your question. Do you have any other questions?
Ma'am, I want to deliver your question.
Please go ahead.
Okay, that your first question, why so hard to implement the conservation in Indonesia? I want to
Mhm.
see
Mhm.
from the culture aspect that we are
Ah.
we are with so many traditional people that still
Mm.
still connected to the nature to fulfill them their activity, their daily bread. I think this is
Mhm.
the basic reason that why conservation is so hard to implement in Indonesia. The second reason is we are living in the country that have so much forest, especially in Sumatra,
Mm.
Kalimantan, and Papua itself.
Mhm.
And yeah, with so many corporate, especially in the palm oil, that need to open the land to plant their palm tree, and I think this is the other reason that conservation is hard to implement in our country. But for now, I heard that there is one tools that we use to make to push this heart of conservation. We call it the sustainability that we see in the three aspects: social, economic, and environment. And now I learned about that in my training in Molucas, kind of thing. Thank you. So the question is why so hard to implement the conservation in Indonesia?
Mhm.
And my
Mhm.
answer is I see from the culture aspect that we people in Indonesia living in traditional daily. I think we have a close connection with our nature near us that maybe we kill animal to our to our daily bread. We open the land to build the village kind of thing, and the effect of that, uh, we see that so many problem with our forest, our ocean kind of thing. And but for now, there is a
Mm-hmm.
population that we hope can fuse the problem of our conservation. It names the sustainability with three aspects. There are social, economy, and uh, environment
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the sustainability can be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the option with to manage the problem of conservation. I can that is my answer, sir. Ma'am, thank you.
Okay, so I was in a conservation program in Frankfurt Zoological Society. Okay, the Frankfurt Zoological Society. There are many programs there. Orangutan, elephants, and tigers, and also social programs as well, and also a wildlife protection unit there. Okay, but mostly um, for those who would like to join that, you could, but usually you have to have a kind of a background of like a forestry or biology or something else like that. Okay. And do they have one in each area? No, they're not everywhere. The ones that I know of are in Kalimantan and Sumatra. Those are the ones I know of, but I'm sure there are many others. Like in Papua, there are probably some volunteer programs as well. So I just think you would have to look it up more a bit, maybe, yeah, on the internet. I'm not quite sure. Or I could do that for you and I will let you know, okay? Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Irma. Any other questions?
Ma'am, I want to sharing my experience in
Oh, please go ahead.
Indian promoter. Okay, when I was college in Bali from
Mm-hmm.
2016 to 2020, I
Mm-hmm.
was joined in a foundation. It names Roll Foundation
Mm-hmm.
in Nusa Dua, Bali. That this
Mm-hmm.
foundation focus on uh, focus on zero waste to the ocean. Why so that?
Ah,
Because
okay.
why so that? Because Bali with the high frequency of the tourism with so many hotels
Mm.
and the other
Mm-hmm.
building, uh, this sector, this industry also uh, create a waste that maybe we can see that the waste come to ocean kind of thing, but
Mm.
but in this foundation, we me and my other friends from the other country and the local
Mm-hmm.
friends recycle the waste, such as the roll of tissue we make become the pot to the flower kind of thing, and
Oh,
we also make
wow.
and yes, and we also make organic compost to the fertigation, and we uh, we we receive the organic drink to our consumption
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, ma'am.
Mm. Wow, Raja, that is amazing. Thank you for that. I have a question for you actually, if I may. Raja, are you still in Bali?
No, ma'am. Now I'm living in Ambon.
Ah, okay, Ambon. Wow, beautiful place. Okay, so in like what from what you learned in
Okay.
Bali, have you tried implementing it? For example, in Ambon, maybe?
Uh, for every day, I I implement maybe a little bit activity such as not to throw the trash to the river, and not to burning the waste, because it will create a carbon monoxide kind of thing. And but the other thing maybe I lost because I not focused into that again. I'm sorry.
Ah, okay. No, no, don't be sorry. But what you are doing, I mean, is great. Like one day, you never know in the future. Like if you're in an area where I don't know, like I don't know where you will be, but you could like maybe teach the people in the area things that you learned in Bali. Maybe you could do that one day.
It have to.
Yeah, I think that would be so cool. But I wish you luck in whatever you are doing, and thank you for sharing your experience. Amazing. We can
Pleasure.
learn a lot from you, it seems. Okay. Okay, are there any other questions? Anything at all?
Excuse me.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Okay. I just like to share my experience that it has something to do with our topic tonight. I mean,
Okay.
say for me, it was disgusting when I was swimming in the river in the village at the time, and saw food packed amongst the beautiful sea life. And also, I went to the market, and I was disturbed to see the plastic bags lying everywhere. So, for me, I find it difficult when I see all of this happening, and I wonder what we could to do better. We should be united for change, because realistically, it doesn't take time. It doesn't take a lot of money, if any, and it doesn't take a lot of people. It starts with all of us, and it's important that we all united together to change the world. So at the time, because I told my community, because I had a community, I joined one of the communities in my village. Right now, I'm living in a city. So back in the day when I was in the village, say, our main activity was actually hiking, but we also have a lot of other activities, like at the time, because I told my community that we cleaned up the market, and also we gathered and then killed. Oh, I'm sorry, my English.
No,
I'm nervous because it's my first time being here.
No, it's wonderful. Your English
and
is wonderful.
Okay, and one of the biggest action that I had at the time, we gathered together and we plant 1,000 trees in the village. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. Wow. You see, it doesn't take many people to make a difference, right? Is it, Linda?
Yeah, all right.
Right? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Linda, for sharing that. I will also share with you a little bit. I mean, like I'm not in a conservation program anymore, but some things that I do to help teach my children as well. One of the things is that sometimes we go out, like I live near a river. Okay, I live near a river. I live in the middle of I live amongst rice fields and also snake fruit plantations, that kind of thing. Okay, so yeah. And what we do is we sometimes take a big plastic bag with us on our morning walks. And because there's like a lot of rubbish and that kind of thing, and we pick up the rubbish, we put it into the plastic bags.
All right.
It's just something small. It's just something small, but it makes a difference, and it helps other people to realize especially my children, to grow up and realize that our environment is precious. We must look after it, and the smallest efforts do count. So what you guys did, Linda, is amazing. It's not something small, it's something huge, amazing in my opinion.
All right, yeah. No need to be an extraordinary to do something great and change the world.
Exactly. You can be like a nobody and change the world. You can, So yeah, I agree with you completely. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing that. Very, very
Thanks.
interesting. Okay. Does anybody else maybe have something to share or maybe some questions?
Ma'am, me again.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. From your PowerPoint,
Mhm.
I little bit, but this is my point of view. Okay.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I'm little bit disagree with your opinion that we drive every day is a bad habit. When
Okay.
when maybe 2 days ago, I read in the news from Instagram that a stranger, the girl from the other country, come to Jakarta, and he walked in at the why we say trotoar in Indonesia kind of thing.
Okay. In America, they say sidewalk. In Australia, we say footpath. So up to you.
Yeah. All is good.
Okay, they're all
Okay.
fine.
She walking in the sidewalk in Jakarta, and a taxi drive make a kind of verbal sexual harassment to her, and that is changed my mind. Not we cannot say that driving every day is a bad habit for the social. Maybe it can driving with our transportation. Maybe can be a one of option to save us from the bad activity, such as the sexual harassment. Just my point of view. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Raja. Yeah, I did not think of that. Yes, that is true. And the sad thing is that
Very interesting
crime
point
is
of view indeed.
increasing so much. Yeah, from year to year, it's increasing all the time. And firstly, like I was meaning more about its impact on the environment, like it helps to reduce greenhouse gases. But how you said, it's not good when you think about for like crime and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's true. That's why it's kind of hard to find a balance. It's impossible actually to find a balance. I mean, for me personally, in Indonesia, I could not live without my car. Okay, I could not live without it because it's a different culture here. I totally understand that. And also the public transport here is not that wonderful. And so yeah, okay, thank you. As Rafidin said, he said in the chat, drive less affects the environment. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It helps to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases. But when you're talking about crime and sexual harassment and everything else like that, yeah, it's kind of better to drive yourself. So yeah, thank you, Raja. Thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very interesting for me.
Anybody else
To
share
see
maybe?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting because we cannot really see one thing from one particular point of view, right? There are lots of, the world nowadays is getting more and more complex, so we cannot see one particular thing from one particular point of view. It's just getting harder to even do something right. There are so many unspoken
Yep.
consequences, unforeseen consequences that we've never thought of. That, oh no, I meant to do good things, but the consequences is just something that beyond my control, so to speak, right? Rebecca, I love you.
I completely agree with saying good. Um, we mean to do something good, and then it, for example, it hurts somebody else, or it, I don't, it, it has a bad impact on something else. I know exactly what you mean. So many different ways we can look at something. Like I said, everything that I shared this evening, you may not agree. You may not agree. You may have your own way of thinking. Of course, please, that's fine. I mean, not everything that I said. I mean, maybe everything I said was wrong. But it's just from like one way of thinking. But when you look at it from another perspective, it's totally different. So I get what you mean, Chris. The way we look at things now, you have to look at from this perspective, this perspective, this perspective, this perspective before we
Right.
do
It's getting
anything.
more and more complex. It's getting more
Okay.
and more
So
confusing,
yeah,
isn't it?
I totally agree with you, Chris. Thank you for that. Thank you. It is, and it's stressful. You can't do something without hurting somebody else.
Exactly.
That's
And
what I find.
you know what?
So
It reminds
yeah,
me to
Chris,
one
thank
movie
you so much for
that
that.
I watched. Um, it's a comedy movie. So it talk about the when we die, we go to either good place and bad place, and everybody is counted for their actions and so on when they're on Earth. And it's fascinating that at one point it shows that within the last 500 years, nobody goes to the good place because, well, basically nobody is doing good. Why? And then at one point, the accountant, so to speak, look at one of the file that there's one man go to the bad place because he bought a flower to his mother who's celebrating her birthday, but he went to the bad place anyway because the flower was picked up in another country. It was exported to his country and leaving a massive carbon footprint. And the money of that flower goes to the CEO who did sexual harassment to his employees. So that's just like it's getting
Oh
so
my
complicated. Just one single
goodness.
flower for his lovely mother, and the consequences is just beyond his comprehension. It's just, how did this happen? But I mean, that's very comedic way, but in a way, when we see things around us,
Yep.
it's kind of true, right? We there are lots of consequences that we didn't know
It is.
exist, but it exists.
Mhm. Yeah, Chris, that actually is hilarious story. Yeah, like I said, like you said, we have to be careful what we do. And like getting back to the topic, conservation, we might mean good, but we could be hurting other people in return.
Exactly.
So
How confusing is
there are a
that?
lot of different aspects we have to look at, okay, especially social aspects. Okay, so from my experience when I was in Sumatra, which I didn't like, was that, yeah, exactly. And one thing that I didn't like was that the head of this program, okay, he focused so much on the animals and he forgot about humans. Okay, so the villages nearby, they asked for a road to be built to help them go back and forth, just to help them. And I know that would have helped a lot, but the boss, my boss, said no, because he said it will increase the, or make it easier for people to access the forest. Yeah, that's true. But do you realize that when you are nice to people, when you treat people well, okay, when you treat people with care, they will become, they will have more empathy for what you're doing. Okay, they will
Exactly.
help you. They will want to protect you. They will want to support you. Okay, so if anybody here like ever joins a program like that, I really, 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 really must push that you pay attention to the people surrounding you. Okay, it's not all about the animals. It's not. Okay, because if you start thinking that it's all about the animals and not about the people as well, you're in for downfall, because the people who are going to help you are the people who are surrounding you, who need their support. Okay, so that is one thing that I have seen in so many conservation programs. They don't care about the people enough. It is a shame. It's a real shame, and it's very sad, because they should. You need their support. Like Chris said, you have to be careful. Okay. Okay, guys. So are there any more questions? Or maybe somebody wants to share their experience? Nope. Nothing.
Me again, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, Raja. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Maybe I want to share
Okay.
maybe I want to share my experience in English community. So when I was in Bali, I joined a group, kind of this group. It names English Community, created by our friends from the United States, and we come together in Sunday, and we make a little group to discuss about a topic such as a family, culture, nature, and yeah, the other interested things that with and this group purpose to improve our speaking English. And but now the that group is not exist, and thank God I find this group, so I can repeat and improve my skill again.
Oh, well, I'm so happy. Like, I'm really happy to also be in this group. I was invited, and it's an amazing group. I mean, everybody in the group is just wonderful, and I find that everybody's capability in English is amazing. So yeah, Raja, I'm happy. I'm happy for you. Now you have a new home.
Thank you.
Okay. So, are there any questions? Any other questions, or you're welcome. Any other questions, or yeah, I agree with Chris. It was one of the best groups I've known so far. Yep, I completely agree with you. And it's like a new family. Yeah. Okay, so is there anyone else with a question, or maybe wants to share? And you probably want to go to bed, or maybe Linda, you want to share something?
Okay, do you have any book recommendation about conservation in English? Yeah, book.
Okay, books. I do actually. I have a lot of books about conservation. I will have to check my but most of them are ebooks, but I will check. I have a lot, and yeah, I will share them to you. You can contact me. My number is in the group. You can send me a private message. That's absolutely fine. Like, anybody who's interested, please feel free to contact me. Okay, guys, I would love to help anyone who needs help. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So is that it?
What should
Maybe.
I call you anyway?
Okay. You're
What should
welcome.
I call you
You're
anyway?
welcome. Okay.
Ma'am.
Oh, you can just call me Becky. You can call me Becky.
Becky. But as you know that in our
Becky.
country, it's impolite to call someone who older than us by their name, right? Say Sister Becky, maybe. It would be better.
Yeah, you can call me Sister Becky.
Yeah.
But Sister Becky,
Even
I don't really like that. Just
yeah,
just call me Becky.
because,
It's fine, okay?
This called Ibu Becky.
And
Ibu Becky.
Chris, do not call me Ibu Becky, please.
Yeah.
No. And
I've
Bule
tried before.
Becky,
Yeah,
Ira,
once
are you serious?
okay.
Bule
Once
Becky.
Ibu Becky. Once I
Okay,
heard
Linda.
that
Yep.
sister isn't familiar in America when we call someone by sister. Isn't familiar,
It is.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So this way.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's unfamiliar. Like usually we call everybody by their first name. Okay. And I call everybody by their first name. Except if they're like my teacher. I would never call my teacher their first name. But I'm your friend, so just call me by my first name, okay, Becky. Just call me Becky. And okay, I would like to go to. Is it Rafidin? Is that your name, Rafidin?
No, that's my name. You may call me Rafi.
Okay, Rafidin. Okay.
Becky,
Do you have a question?
Okay.
I do have the questions. First of all, I'd like to thank you for reviewing or presenting this kind of material that's quite useful for people. And now we know a bit more deeper about conservations. So, like you said before, there are four conservation that you just explained: environmental, not anymore, marine is also human conservations. I'm not sure that based on my experience, it's kind of hard for me to find the human conservations. I mean, what kind of activity actually that people do in it? So, like animal, like environments. Of course, there's an object over there to taking care of environment, to taking care of the rare animal. But how do the humans conservations? But overall, among those conservation types, which one actually dominantly need to be concerned more?
Okay, interesting. Very interesting question. Okay, so I will explain first about human conservation. Okay, human conservation is a conservation which conserves the sorry, the balance between humans and environment. Okay, humans and the environment. So how we interact with our environment. Okay, we get along with our environment. How look at our environment so that we can get along, because we need our environment for many things, right? Okay, so that's what human conservation is. Human conservation is more to do with the balance between what you use for the environment, okay, and how we balance that. We can also learn from many local tribes or local groups, as Indonesian called apa sih? Kearifan lokal, if I'm not mistaken, Indonesian, that's what it's called. And we can learn a lot from that. The balance. Okay. And then second question, which one is more important? Honestly, I cannot say, because I think they are all as important. Okay. They are all important. They all need to they need to be carried out at the same amount. Okay, so like looking after animals, we can't just focus on looking after, for example, marine environment, and not look after the animals in the forest, for example. Or we can't just look after our animals and not look after us, for example. And we can't just after the, for example, plants and not look after the animal, or we can't look after the forest and look after our earth. I think they all play the same role. We have to carry them all out at the same amount. Okay, we have to. They're all important. Okay, they're all important. There's one more that's more important than the other. But that's my personal opinion, because it not make sense, for example, to focus, for example, marine conservation and not focus on the others. I think they're all important. That's my answer, Rafi. And do you think?
Okay, so is my voice clear?
It is, but it's echoing. It's kind of spooky.
I thought that you are the
Okay.
only one who has a connection problem, but I have it too. Okay, so just no any. I mean, you're not trying to be a picky person. You're not
No,
trying to
it's cool. It's like a yeah. Keep going.
it's really breaking. I can continue it.
Mhm. Yeah, please continue.
Okay. So the point I got from you is you cannot divide them, become one, two, but you have to make them all together because they are bonded each other. So when you start look after the environment, you have to look after the animals. So okay, but I'm sorry for confirming that the first speaker, right, Jadali, saying that and then it's you, I'm sorry, you said that, what is it, consumes a little meat and try to be, not its instructions, but just try to reduce eating an animal, right? Okay, but the,
Okay. Yeah.
the thing that I'm afraid here, when you say that, it means that animal conservation is for all the animal or just a particular animal? I mean, like the rare animal. So it means that we still be able to eat the chickens a lot, the dog a lot, because they're also included as an animal conservation object, or what? Or just for like elephants or tiger or another rare bird. So is it that animal as an object to be looked after?
Okay. Okay. So usually, as you will see, that conservation, animal conservation is often focused on those animals that are endangered. Okay, usually focused on those animals that are endangered. That is what wildlife conservation is. Okay, but it does not mean that those that are not endangered, we don't look after them. We have to look after them before they become endangered. Sure. Okay. This is different to animals that we consume, chickens, cows. There is an abundance. We have an abundance of those animals. Sure, if you like, you don't have to eat them if you like. I mean, that's a personal choice. But for me personally, they don't have to. We don't have to focus so much on preserving them, okay, or conserving them. What we have to focus on is the animals, or sorry, focus on our animals in our wild environment, okay, that make up the food chain, okay, you know the food chain, right? That help to spread seeds, that help to, like, even insects, some insects, they help to get rid of bacteria and other things, okay? We also need bacteria to decay food. Okay, so there are so many different roles that our animals have. So I'm not really focusing on the animals that we eat, like chickens, cows, other kinds of animals, because there is an abundance. Okay? There is an abundance. So I'm focusing more on those animals that are like in the forest, in a wild environment, especially the ones that their numbers are decreasing at a rate. That's what I'm focusing here, Rafidin.
All right, Greg. I'm trying to understand you slowly because sometimes your voice is breaking a lot. But at the end, it's quite clear for me to get the answer from you. Oh, thank you for answering the
Oh,
question.
you're welcome, Rafidin. And it looks like my voice. Okay, sorry, I was there at the beginning. I don't know what happened. Probably telling us to go to bed. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for having me. I had a wonderful time. I had a blast. I hope what I presented to you guys this evening and more about conversation. And if anybody has any questions or wants books or anything like that, please feel free to contact me. I would be more than happy to help. It's me probably. I'm Becky. Just call me Becky. Don't call me Bude or Boo, please. Okay, just call Becky. And I will hand this evening's meeting back over to the host.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Becky, for presentation and the section. We have uh, more. We have learned so much about conservation tonight. And yeah, thank you guys for coming here tonight. And hopefully, you and me and all of you could learn more from tonight's session. And see you again on the next YouTalk session. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.